Life Audio.
Maybe you need to celebrate the current accomplishments, the current relationships that you have, the current state of awesomeness that you feel like you're in. What do you need to celebrate? And then do that. Hello and welcome to the Encourager Podcast, where we have encouraging conversations to help you joyfully harmonize your home and work life. I'm your host, Rebecca Scott. I'm a wife, mother, designer, coach, and author. I'm here to help encourage and empower you to confidently make decisions that work for you and your stage of life, whatever that might be. Hello, encouragers. Today's podcast is brought to you by Just Thrive Probiotics, my go-to supplement to feel even more energized and lighter. I also love the Just Thrive Calm supplement because it keeps my thoughts from spinning and it keeps me more focused and in the moment in front of me. Use code ENCOURAGER to get 15% off by going to justthrive.com. On today's episode, we're talking about a mid-year reflection. It's 10 questions that I want you to ask yourself about the last 6 months and what you want to do with the remaining 6 months of this year. Now, this is an exercise that I have done in our coaching program, the Clarity Blueprint. It's our monthly membership program that is super affordable. And we went over it with the students, and I think how powerful it is to stop and reflect over the last 6 months. A lot of us listening here are super ambitious or we're burnt out. And sometimes it can be the extreme of both of them. But this allows you to hold space with both of them and go, okay, wait a minute. I have 6 whole months moving forward to make the changes I want to make, or to just stop some of the things that I just cannot continue going on one more day on. You know that nobody shoots out of the gate and says, I've got a program and it'll take you 6 months, because nobody wants to do something for 6 months. It seems like a huge chunk of time. That is the beauty of this reflection, is that you have got 6 whole months until this year is done. That's a long, long time to get things going, or to back off from maybe it's a pace that you're at that you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. So the beauty of this is being in more control of what you want to happen in a huge chunk of time of 6 months. So it's called the mid-year reflection. And here are my top 10 questions. And I always say, what I've been trying to do with the podcast is within 10 minutes of listening to this, there's something that you can implement, whether physically or just mentally or just thinking it through, and that it would be very, very practical for you to apply. So I've done the timing of this. It can take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. That's it. But it is extremely important to do. And the reason I want you to block out this hour, I want you to go get your favorite drink or make your favorite drink or get within yourself. But if you spend this hour reflecting on these 10 questions, you have 6 whole months to possibly make the biggest changes you've ever made. How big and bold is that statement? You've got 6 whole more months to change things. That being said, we have provided a resource on the encouragerpodcast.com that you can print this off for your reflection for that about 1 hour time block. You guys, remember I say do things at 80% or at 1%. So if you can get 10 minutes, go for it. If you can get 2 hours, go for it. Whatever it looks like for you, but print this off so you've got a tangible thing that you can put in your pile of things to do. So go to theencouragerpodcast.com and print off this PDF. The first question is, what are your best moments thus far in 2024? Okay, what are your best moments? And this is a really fun question to start with, of course, because you get to start writing down. And this is just over the last 6 months, not of your life. We're just going in 6 month chunks here, okay? So what were your best moments? And record them there. The second question I want you to ask yourself is, what are the worst moments? Okay, nobody wants to do that, right? You don't want to spend time on that. However, the common phrase is if you don't know what they are, you're destined to repeat them. And we don't want that. So depending on what kind of year you've been having, the first and the second question, you may spend more or less time on, right? Okay, the third question is, what are your top 2 to 3 highlights? Now, this is slightly different than the best moments because it might not be the best, but it's just 2 to 3 highlights. And by calling those out, if you want to repeat them again, or even if this is just a reflection point for the end of the year, 6 months from now, it's just good to recall, what were the top 2 to 3 highlights and reflecting on those. The fourth question is, what goals need to be dropped? Now, this is the permission, depending on if you're the type that created the goals and you've been working them for the last 6 months, or maybe it's last 6 weeks, or for those that created them and then tucked them away and forgot about them. Well, guess what? You have 6 whole months to rev them back up or to drop them. Because sometimes when we create goals, they're just vanity goals. Believe me, I do it every year. And then I'm like, I have not made any progress on this. Clearly, this is just like something that I want, but it's not truly a heart desire. It's just like, yeah, I want to do 250 sit-ups every single day. No, not happening. So what are the goals that need to be dropped? Like, also for me, this is a good perspective when I'm thinking professionally. Remember, you're doing this review both personally and professionally. Professionally, for me, it makes me go, okay, we're 6 months in and we have made maybe 10% progress on that goal. Like if it was a monetary goal, or maybe it's like for me, trying to guest on so many podcasts, am I in the range that I set the goal too high? This is permission to reflect on what goals just need to be dropped and drop them. It doesn't mean drop them for forever. You may pick them back up in January with a different level of data or a different perspective, but it does give you permission right now to drop some goals. Question number 5 is, what goals need to be revved up? Now, this is fun too. If you look at them and you're like, gosh, I really do want that. I don't want to drop that one. I want that one. I want that to be true on January 1 or even just 6 weeks from now. Then this is a permission to think through, get really detailed on how would you rev up that goal. And the purpose of this is a reflection sheet. So you may not have the data yet, or you're diving into it any deeper to figure out how to rev it up, but you could write down, these are the goals that I do in fact want to rev up, and then move to the next question. Then when you go back to this sheet a little bit later, you're like, okay, I'm going to hit that goal. How can I break that down? So when you go back to review this sheet, you can be like, you know what? I'm taking that goal and I'm going to do something with it. Here are the steps so that I can finish strong with this. So take a look at your goals, whatever you created, or create new ones. Like if you forgot, if you're at the stage where you're like, I don't even remember what they were, that's okay. Let's reflect right now. What goals do you want to be completed or done or made progress on by January 1? You've got 6 whole months to make a ton of progress on something. So what goals need to be wrapped up? Question number 6, what was your best month and why? It's one thing to call it your best month, but I want you to do the data and figure out why. And again, this is both personally and professionally. Was it because it was a slower month personally, so you spent more family time? Is that why it just felt really good? Or not? Maybe it's because you loved all the activities and you had some awesome victories in the middle there for you or for the kiddos. Or maybe professionally, it's because you had the most revenue, or maybe professionally, it's like we made the most amount of progress on the team, or we created all these goals and accomplished them that month. Recall what was your best month and why, because when you do both, you recall what the best month is and why, it is then repeatable. Question number 7, what are some books, podcasts, and or courses that you think attributed to your current state of mind and work? So this question can go both ways. If you find that you're kind of like, meh, have you been listening to encouraging books? Have you been listening to podcasts? Well, check mark, you guys, you're listening to a podcast that's literally called The Encourager. So I hope that you're feeling encouraged here. But what are some of the books that you read in the last 6 months, or the podcasts that you listen to? Or if you're taking some courses, awesome, way to go. But are they contributing to your current state of mind and work? How do you feel right now? And what helps do that? Maybe it was also your pastor. Maybe it was your friendships. What is attributing to your current state of mind and work? And do you need to fix it or just keep it going? It's just good to reflect, like maybe that thriller podcast is no longer serving you because it puts you in a state of anxiety. Or maybe it's that the book that you read. Okay, this is something for me. I was reading a ton. I love them. Kristen Hanna books. I love them so much. But I do not have the ability to put something down. Like once I start the books, I'll stay up till like midnight. And I cannot do that for my sleep schedule. And so my husband had to politely say to me like, hey, you've either got to figure out how to manage your reading a little bit better, or stop complaining about how tired you are because you've got some personal choices you're making. And he was totally right. So I make myself take 8-week breaks between the books because guys, I love her stuff so much. I've got all of her books on my affiliate page on Amazon, so check them out. But for me personally, That is one where I was like, it's not necessarily hurting me, but my current state of mind was getting tired because I was just doing back to back because I love them so much. So it allowed me to reflect and go, okay. I'm going to need to take a break between these. So ask yourself that. What are books, podcasts, or courses that you think are contributing to your current state of mind and work? Question number 8. What would make this next 6 months the best second half ever? Okay, here's what I'm going to say it again. You guys, 6 months is a huge chunk of time for amazing things to occur, right? So if you could pause right now, which I'm so proud of you, if this is the case and you are actually like, I need this, I'm going to stop. I'm going to reflect. I'm not going to let this be what 2024 was for me. I'm going to change it. And you have the power to do that right now, right alongside Jesus. So you better be asking him during this whole thing, like, Jesus, help me. I'm going to change some things. I'm going to continue on this amazing path. I'm going to be able to say on January 1, this was amazing. So what would make this next 6 months the best second half ever? And during this, I want you to picture, maybe it's Mel Gibson from Braveheart where he's saying, freedom, like you have the choices here. Maybe it's the movie Rudy and, like his comeback was amazing, but I want you to channel your inner underdog. And the place in you that was super excited on January 1 to create these new goals and like the possibilities of a new year, guess what? You still have 6 months to have all those possibilities come true. What would make this next 6 months the best second half ever? And then number 9, what are your goals for the next 6 months? Okay, so we've done a ton of reflecting. You can go back through those questions and go, all right. Now what do I want the goals to be? A lot of the time I repeat the same thing. Like, I'm like, okay, yep, I'm keeping these, but I've dropped some for sure. I definitely clean out. And for me personally, I probably clean out about 20% of the goals and just drop them. Like, they're just not going to happen this year. Or I lessen them. Could be that. But look at the data above here. Look at what you wrote down, whether this was journaling or maybe this was orally for you. Maybe you're just like talking out loud, whatever that is for you. And pick out, what are your goals for the next 6 months? Put them right here. And then question number 10, what do you want to be true on January 1? What do you want to be able to say? Picture yourself very clearly. What are you wearing? What's in your cup? Where are you standing? What do you want to be true on January 1? This is where you cue the inspirational music. This is where you cue the, like, I did this. What do you want to be true on January 1? And then go back to question number 9. What are the goals? Or what does the best second half look like? Refer back to those to then be able to fill this out too. Then how am I going to make this happen on January 1? Good news is some of your goals can happen October 1, right? I love the idea of 6 months because it's a huge chunk of time. So this is the time to reflect. What do you want to be true on January 1? Okay, bonus question. I know I said 10 questions, but this is another one that I think is very valid. And this question actually came from my co-coach, Tiffany Hagan, with the Clarity Blueprint. She said, I also want us to ask ourselves, what do I need to celebrate? We're go-getters. We are so ambitious. We're go-getters. We're listening to podcasts. We're pulling kids to school. We're running, we're doing all the things. But have you stopped to celebrate the last 6 months? In your 2 to 3 highlights, in your best moments, in the part where you're like, yes, these are the goals. Maybe you need to celebrate who you are. Maybe you need to celebrate the current accomplishments, the current relationships that you have, the current state of awesomeness that you feel like you're in. What do you need to celebrate? And then do that. I love the idea of celebrating in whatever that looks like. If it's going out for ice cream, it's getting coffee, it's going for a walk, it's planning a weekend away. Involve your family and tell them what you're celebrating, especially for our daughters, especially for our children. Now that I'm saying it, I'm like, yeah, even my son, like, hey, we are going to go do this because mommy is celebrating this. It tells them how hard you're working and it allows your brain to rest and recognize, oh, this is what arrival feels like. This is what celebrating feels like. This is the new version of myself. This is repeatable. Oh yeah, this celebration is fun. This is what I get to do when I accomplish things. Before you make your list. So what do you need to celebrate? And I love that bonus question. There you have it. There is 10 questions with one bonus of how to have a mid-year reflection. Remember, we've already provided this resource. It's available on the encouragerpodcast.com. Go to our resources tab, print this off. I think you should block about an hour long. It might be shorter. It might be longer, depending on how long you want to journal or reflect or whatever that looks like. If you need to do it at 80%, I always give permission for that too. If there's a couple questions, you're like, moving on. I hear you. I got it. Or if you're just at a stage where you're like 1%, fine, do one of them. Just do one of the questions. But the point is to stop, reflect. You've got 6 whole more months to make some amazing changes or small changes that will benefit you. Also, I can't help but say, you guys, if you create this and you're feeling that like underdog spirit, you're feeling that like, I want to have these victories, I'm going to make this happen. Tiffany and I would love to stand beside you in our Clarity Blueprint, which is our membership community. We have a little ad that plays in this podcast, so I'm just telling this to you live as I record here, but it really is good. It's accountability. So month to month, we're going back and saying, hey, last month you said you wanted to accomplish this. How are you doing that? And we actually meet twice a month. So it's about every 2 weeks you get to see us and we get to say, hey, how are things going? And help you kind of change gears if you need to, give you a little bit new perspective, give you some baby steps of how to keep moving in that direction. It's a really good pairing to a best second half ever. Until next time, encouragers, we got this because he's got us. Thanks so much for tuning in. If the Encourager podcast has helped or encouraged you in any way, please subscribe to the show and leave a 5-star review. And then help us spread the message of encouragement and hope by sharing the podcast with others. Ready to bring more organization and joy into your life? The Encourager Academy helps you harmonize your home and work life through our online course and coaching programs. Our 5-system approach, me, food, family, work, and home, tackles your biggest obstacles, offering lifetime access to video lessons and guided worksheets. Learn at your own pace with practical tools and strategies. Enroll now at encourageracademy.com and use code WeGotThis for $50 off. Are you ready for clarity and purposeful progress without the overwhelm? Join the Clarity Blueprint membership community. Transform your life with like-minded women, taking small, meaningful steps twice a month. Access monthly calls, worksheets, videos, guest speakers, and a supportive community with a very affordable price. Say goodbye to chaos and hello to purposeful progress. Visit theencouragerpodcast.com and join today.
Is life feeling chaotic? I get it. I'm Rachel Wojo, host of the Untangling Life podcast. Don't miss the passionate encouragement and faith-based resources you need to help you clear your head and calm your heart. As Shell says, it feels like Rachel always knows what I need to hear. She keeps it real and is so humble. Her podcast is just the cherry on top. Enjoy Untangling Life with Rachel Wojo on lifeaudio.com or your favorite podcast app now.